for your example, likely what happened to you is that the trauma at the time was too overwhelming for your system to process. And that usually happens when there's two conflicting emotions at the same time. So for example, love and hate, anger and freeze. And when there's something in the body where we want to fight and freeze at the same moment, or we want to fight and run away at the same moment, okay? Those are two conflicting mechanisms in our nervous system. When that happens, that energy never gets discharged. And that energy then has an energy well, we call it a trauma well, literally stuck inside our body. It literally, like it lives in the body. And it's always living there, and then we keep putting these layers over it where we overcompensate. So for a lot of people that have that experience, they become major marathon runners or yoga masters, and they do all this stuff in their bodies, going back to the overcompetent override, to try to feel a sense of control and agency in their body again. Or maybe they develop some kind of strict eating habits or eating disorders because they're feeling something's off in their body, but they control it by having their survival mechanism come in and managing their body. So what happens is that energy well gets more and more trapped, deeper and deeper and deeper in. We have no conscious awareness to it. And then something will happen like a Rolfer or Rosen method or neuroaffective touch, whatever it is, and they touch it just at the right point, right? And then that energy well gets opened. And when the energy well gets open, that feeling, that conflicting nervous system feeling of fight and flight or fight and freeze happens, and then we feel truly like we're going crazy. We have no sense of controlling what's happening in our body. We lose a sense of what's happening in our mind. We feel jumbled. We feel really confused. And that means that energy well is now being released, but it needs titration. It needs to be released in a way that the individual feels it's their agency, it's their control of how they're releasing it and discharging it, so they can restore equilibrium, where they can have coherence again. What happens is if they go so over threshold and it just all comes out, then they still feel out of control. And they're kind of re-traumatized all over again, which is why someone needs trauma therapy at that point. So the somatic practitioner helps them have awareness of what's happening with that trauma energy well, but also having something where they feel a sense of agency or control in their body, so that they themselves feel like they are releasing a little bit of that fight or a little bit of that flight through different body movements, and then returning to this feeling of self-agency, of body competency, and then returning back to, what did I wish I really wanted to do? I really wanted to fight that person, and doing a body movement towards that, and then pausing it and then coming back to something that feels strengthening. And it needs to be done in a way that feels titrated, that feels gradual, so that equilibrium is really restored. And then the individual is like, okay, that really is now discharged from my body. I got it out of my system. I understand it. Now I can put it behind me.